my secret now. I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull no punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze, and I'm Krista, and this is
Brandy.
How's everybody doing tonight? How are you, Brandy?
Well, the last couple of days I've just had a migraine and it just hasn't quit. So hopefully tomorrow this will start letting up a little bit, but here I am.
I understand. I know I've had quite a week myself. So anyway, as some of you guys may see, we are missing our other cohort. She's just had a really rough last few weeks. And today she had to put her horse down, and her son's horse, actually. So if everybody could kind of keep Erin in their prayers. She was dealing with the guy with the backhoe this evening. So anyway, just keep her in your thoughts, because when I talked to her earlier today, she had every intention of being here, and life happens. Tomorrow night show, she will be here doing some readings with Michael Christopher.
That's going to be a fun one, though. It always is.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's Brandy and I tonight, and we were supposed to have David Glidden on tonight. He's a friend of ours, and he had to work late, so we had to cancel that. And I want to do the incubus and the succubus with Dave Glidden. So we're going to reschedule with him. And but we have some cool people, though. We who are always on our side, willing to jump in anytime. I'm gonna bring them up. We have BMR.
Hello.
And Bob.
Hello, everybody.
Surprise!
Hello.
Here we are.
We're invading their space, so y'all. Sorry.
Yeah. Back again.
Yeah.
Like, didn't I see you already today, BMR?
Yeah. Yes, you did, Krista. It was a fabulous show.
It was a good show.
Yeah, I see Al's ready. I see Al Santariga's ready in chat, and he was on with me and Krista on Brunch with Bigfoot Mission Rob. And Al, buddy, I got to hand it to you. I know you're listening. I can see you in chat. Good job. Great show. If anybody hasn't seen it, Krista just knocked it out of the park as a co-host. I got to tell you. Hats off to Krista. I was on co-pilot all day, and I got to tell you. I kicked back, had a little lunch. I had some actual brunch during intermission, and it was great.
It was a good show, though.
That's really pretty nice when it's your own show and you're just having a good time and you're just sitting back.
Yep. Well, a lot of people out there, what Blondes is about, and we're all about promoting and helping each other. And, we're all in this for the same reason. And doing this show, we've met a lot of people. And
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to Letitia and Barton Nunley. They have some cool merchandise out there, and they actually gave me a shirt here. I'm going to stand up. Got a shirt, and then
in humanoids.
Yes, and And then I have a couple of these here that Barton.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to, man,
Put
this
it in front of your face.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Okay.
There you go.
Looks good.
Wow.
And they have others. If anybody's interested, I'm going to post their links to their Inhumanoids page and their YouTube page in the chat throughout the night. So go give them a like and some love also.
And then if you miss it by any chance, we do have it on our Blondes and Booze page on Facebook. You can look it up there too.
Yep, and even message us too. We can always, send them to you, or if you guys are interested in any of their merchandise, they have good stuff. And honestly, this Inhumanoid shirt I have, it's a t-shirt, and it is super, super soft. It's a good shirt. So anyway, they're awesome people, so go check out their stuff. So that brings us to
tonight.
Yeah. Brandy, you want to start it?
Well, it's like I was telling them earlier, this is kind of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of night. It's like we're going to talk about dark ghost stories.
Very nice.
Could be little demonic. We don't know. I've not heard them. So with everybody out there, this is going to be the first time we're all hearing this. So let's go ahead and start with Rob on that. Go ahead and tell us one of your fantastic stories.
A fantastic story. Well, and coming out and getting called into duty tonight, because I'm coming on next week. So, and I don't mind coming on next week. In fact, I love coming on all shows at any time of the day, night, or hour. So, you said you guys had mentioned something about demons, and I can tell the typical thing. I think you guys knew about. I had my Bigfoot encounter. Then after that, I started seeing weird things. So what I'm going to preface this with, because we got, a lot of time, and I document a lot of stuff. And here's the thing. And I know a lot of people haven't heard this, and I've got many more things to say, but I have to start with this. When I've got this section in my house that, now, this hasn't happened in 6, 7, 8 months. And this is after I had an encounter. And ever since 2018, you guys, I've seen a lot of creepy things. Now, as a child, I knew that I saw ghosts and stuff like that. I even think I might have seen a Bigfoot when I was up north, a shadow of one that passed by, but I never thought much about it until after having an experience. And what people told me is that once you have an experience, your childhood, it comes to fruition. It almost like those experiences are enhanced. So, anyways, after saying that, it's like, I don't know, I just see weird things. So anyway, I was sitting down in my basement. I was watching a television program, and I'm looking down a hallway, and I see this dark black mist coming down the hallway. It's about 2 or 3 feet up off the ground, and it's coming down. And I'm watching whatever program I was watching. I don't know. And it started getting closer. So the very first time this happened, Brandy, Krista, and to the audience, I got up out of my chair and tried to kick at it, and it was just kind of backed off. It got lower to the ground. And I'm like, I looked. There was nothing coming out. There was no smoke or anything coming from the furnace or anything. But I thought it was strange. And I don't know, you guys, if I was sleeping or if I was asleep paralysis, because what I did, I went back in my recliner, continued watching the program. That when I kicked at that, it just kind of went away. And then all of a sudden it starts coming down, and it starts swirling about my chair. And now I'm getting kind of scared, and I don't know what's going on with it. But now it gets to the point where I freeze up, and now I can't move, because at the time I had somebody who was upstairs at my house, and I actually literally tried to yell up to them, "Hey," I was trying to say, "Hey." Words would not come out from my vocal cords. So I sat there. Then I tried to move my arms and legs to get up out of the chair again. I could not. And now this is swirling, swirling, and swirling. And all I can do, you guys, is use my eyes
Mhm.
and kind of look at this swirling. And now I'm really kind of petrified. But you know, what's funny is I'm looking at the television and I know what I'm watching. I think I might have been watching that program. It was one of those murder shows, 48 hours, you know, where they do investigations.
Mhm.
So I know I'm watching it and I go to try to pinch myself, but as I said, I can't pinch myself because I can't move. I'm paralyzed. This went on for a long time. This went on. It seemed like hours that this went on for. Finally, it went away. 2 months later, so I called some people. This is right back when I just started doing podcasts. Right back when I, developed a friendship with Tex and with Bob and Randy and Jason, and we had a witch on our show. Man, I told her about what happened to me, and she had told me something about if I was religious and all this. I said, well, I believe in God. I'm not religious. I haven't been to church in a long, long time, yada, yada. And then she said, doing a cleansing, smudge your house, burn incense, things like this. Well, I just did not do any of that. I just like, okay, whatever. It happens again. And all I remember is I was so scared, and I do believe in God, and I just started praying the Our Father prayer and Hail Mary, and boom, went away.
Mhm.
And I know now, and I snapped out of that transient state. You know how I mentioned about sleep paralysis? I don't know what that is. I've talked
Mhm.
to many people about it. I don't know that I experienced that or not. So ever since then, I haven't had the problem. But here's the story, though, that I never told anybody because it's very scary. That had happened a couple months down the road. All this happened, you guys, within a 1 year time period, on and off every couple months. It would come, I'd say a prayer, boom. But I will tell you this one, and this is something brand new. So I know a lot of you heard that, but I wanted to preface it with this same scenario. I'm in my basement watching TV. I see this mist coming down the hallway off to the left of my television. And now, as I made mention earlier, the mist always hovered about 6 to 8 inches off of the floor, of the ground, whatever. Now, instead of it coming all the way down the hallways and circling around the chair, it kind of stopped in one area and it kind of hovered there. It kind of hovered in one area. And I'm looking at this, and now you guys, all of a sudden, I get that feeling. All of a sudden, I can't move. And now I can't speak. No one was at the house at this time, so I had no one to shout out to. But I know that even if I tried to talk, I couldn't. And then this mist came up toward the ceiling and it formed a shape of a figure, some sort of figure. I'm not going to say it was a humanoid. I'm not going to say it was a square. I'm not going to say it was an oval or a circle, but it formed some sort of weird shape, almost like a potato. You know how you get a bag of potatoes and how they're kind of all
Mhm.
different?
Mhm.
It kind of reminded me of the shape of a potato, but just with different curves and grooves in it. And I'm looking at this thing, and now you guys, here's where I really got scared. All of a sudden, as I mentioned before on the previous times, I could not move. In this instance, I couldn't move, but I'm trying to get out of my chair to go at this thing. I broke free of the chair, and you guys, but I could not stand. I fell to my knees, and I fell down with my hands in front of me in the crawling position, and this thing's maybe 15 feet from me, and I start crawling towards it. And as I'm crawling towards it, my mind is like in a different world because I'm scared, but all of a sudden I feel like it was like saying, come to me, come to me. That's what I'm thinking. It didn't say that in my mind, but that's what I felt like. Just come. So I'm crawling like a little baby on all fours towards this potato looking mess in my hallway. I get within 5 feet of this thing, and it's now from the floor to the ceiling. which I got like 8-9 foot ceilings, and it's massive. And now, all of a sudden, I feel cold sweat. I start to shake. I chill. My stomach. I got cramps in my stomach, and I rolled over on my side, and I started to cry, and I started praying to God.
Mhm.
I woke up the next morning.
Wow.
I don't know what happened during that night. I remember the last thing I remember crying on my side in the I was in the fetal position. I'm not ashamed as a grown man that I was crying. I thought that it was I thought it was something sinister. But when I was on my side, like the episode before when I said the prayer, it just
Mhm.
faded away and I snapped out of it. This time I don't know what happened because I woke up, I look at the clock, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. And I do remember about this encounter. And every time this has happened to me, it's always been right around 3:30 in the morning. And I do remember when I started crawling down the hallway toward this apparition or this potato, as I call it. I remember looking at the digital clock on the left-hand corner of my TV, which I'm looking at right now. It was 3:37 in the morning. And I woke up, I think it was like 7:37, 6:37 the next day. And I was laying there. I woke up in the fetal position with the sun coming through. The sun was just rising.
Wow.
Mm,
So I never told that to no one. I told you I had a pretty good one for you guys.
pretty scary. Yeah.
And
I have a question for you.
and I have no idea.
How
Yes, yeah.
how long did it take from your Bigfoot encounter until you had a paranormal encounter? How long was that span?
In 2018, I had my Bigfoot encounter, and this mist and this thing I seen was like in 2021.
Oh,
Wow.
Were you going through a difficult time in your life at that point?
No, I mean, my girlfriend died in 2018, 2 months after the encounter. So this is 3 years later. No, life was good. I was running my bar, doing well. I was finally getting past the death because I thought that encounter killed her, which I don't think today was the case. And no, life was pretty good. I was pulling myself together. In fact, my life started getting a lot better, you guys, when I started doing podcasting. I started doing some research, started talking about it because for many years, because I never spoke about my encounter for the longest of times until I went on like Sasquatch Chronicles and spoke about it. Then I met Tex. I kind of always knew Tex, but never like I know him now, just via media, social media. And then I hooked up with him and I formed Brunch with Bigfoot Rob with Tex, blah blah blah. You guys know that story. And then we become great friends and the more I talk about it, the more I feel. Today I'm fine, you guys, and this has not happened to me in well over a year. But I don't know. I don't know if it's ever coming back or what. So to answer your question, 2021.
2021. Okay.
wow.
Okay. Well, and you answered my other question was, has anything happened recently or within the last,
No,
6 months or anything?
As I said in the earlier story about I didn't believe in that smudging and all that and put stuff under your windows. I did that. I had actually, Brandy, excuse me. After my like sleep paralysis happened with just the mist, then I started doing all that, right? And everything was fine. Nothing happened. I slept well. No occurrences. Then I let up on it, and that's when I had that figure show up. Then I went back and started practicing the same thing. And to be honest with you, I haven't done it since like 2022. Well, this is 20. I haven't done it in about 8 months. So now that I'm talking about it, I'm looking around right now. I'm looking down the hallway right now, ready to be grabbed. But no, seriously though. Yeah, no, just yeah.
Well, you have a question out there from Al. He asked, "Are you still in the same home?"
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I know. I'm just sitting there thinking about why all that then. I mean, if he's, up in his spirits, if he's doing well, there's no issues really, no big issues to worry about. That's strange, and it is dark. That's
Well,
dark. I'm going to say so.
Well,
Mhm.
I was seeing a Tom, North Carolina Cryptid. He knows I own a bar. I'll let Bob talk. I got some stuff because my bar that I owned, I sold that in right before COVID in 2022. And there was a lot of strange. And see, in my bar, a lot of my employees told me that they would tell me it was haunted. They'd
Mhm.
see things at night. And I believe everybody what they tell me. I never really did, but I did have a couple encounters. I'm not going to get into it right now and hog up the whole show, but I had seen some spirits and apparitions in my bar as well, and that's as of
Wow.
2022. So yeah, so I was thinking, you guys, maybe I brought something home from the bar because I tell you what, one of the reasons I sold the bar, I wasn't, Nostradamus. I didn't know that COVID would hit and we would lose our businesses because 3 months after I sold the bar, 3,000 Michigan businesses, bar, restaurant related, went out of business. So I
Yeah.
just got
Wow.
lucky. I just
Yeah.
got very lucky and grateful, of course.
Mhm.
And I'm a nice guy. I paid all my employees 1 year's salary after I sold it. I took them up for 12 months. I did good things. And so I'm pretty, I'm not speaking highly of myself, but I'm pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I can't, and I always thought that things like this happen to people that had ulterior motives or
Hmm.
they weren't up and up people. But I guess it happens to anybody. And so what I'm thinking, you guys, make a long story short, is I think that maybe I did get some attachments because you talk to so many. And let me tell you, in the bar business for 13 years, gals and Bobby, a lot of creepy people. I've got a
Mhm.
Sure.
story about this
Hmm.
guy. I talked to this guy who did not look like a human being, and I can save this for later. Again, I can go on and on and on, diarrhea of the mouth. But there was this guy in his bar who did not look human, and he was telling me these things that haunted me. We can save that for a little later, but yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta take a break here because I'm starting to like freak myself out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys,
Well,
it doesn't. It seems like movie material stuff.
Yeah.
sometimes it is. I mean, it's like you were like, that did that really happen? You don't
Yeah,
think it,
Yeah.
you're like,
and
wow.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I did not have a Bigfoot encounter, I don't think I would tell anybody this because I don't care what people think. I know, and I know in my heart what happens, right? So
Yep.
I today I speak freely. Believe it or don't, I don't care. Happened to me.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well,
I
I'll
want
tell you
I
one of
want to
my
say something.
experiences here in a little bit.
I want to say something real quick. Several people have asked about the incubus succubus. We were going to have that topic. Our guest, Dave Glidden, actually had to work late tonight. So we are going to reschedule with him and talk that with him because it's kind of a running joke. He's a friend of ours and we were doing an investigation. He's like, let's just talk incubus and succubus. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So anyway, I'm going to save that topic for him. So tonight, as you can see, we have Bob and BMR that graciously just said they would come on and talk paranormal stuff with us. So we appreciate it.
Yeah,
So anyway, I
life
just put
happens.
those out there for who, those of you that missed it.
Yeah, life happens. It
It does.
does.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I wish everything ran perfectly, but
Yeah.
at this time of year, it's just like they have me working,
Yeah.
all these extra mandatory hours, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Christmas time, I'll take that money. Thank you.
Oh
So
yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
not worried about it.
Yeah.
But I want to hear about Bob's story. He's got an interesting one to tell, and I didn't even get they don't tell me the story. They just give me like little hints, and I'm like,
Breadcrumbs. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well,
all I
here's the thing,
get.
like I've talked to BMR a lot and we've talked to, some paranormal and, that kind of stuff. And that's the first time you've told me that story. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
exactly.
I can't. I have to keep my bag of tricks hidden.
I guess.
You know?
Yep. Make them surprise. Give a surprise. Element of
There you
surprise.
go.
All right, Bob, tell us about this story that nobody would tell me.
Well, this happened more than 30 years ago. And I'll go ahead and say I don't live in the same place where this happened. And it's one of the reasons why I moved, actually. So what happened is I was 21 years old. And yes, I just gave my age away by telling you it was 30 years ago. So now, yes, I'm an old man now. So anyway, I'd already been living in, it was my first apartment. I had just graduated And so I got on my own, and and I partied. I had parties there.
Life was
21-year-old.
great.
Oh yeah, it was. I would think of a reason to party. I didn't have to have a reason, so I just have people coming over all the time. So it was the wild single life for a while. But at the time this happened, I had already been living in this apartment for about a year and a half, and so far nothing weird happened, nothing bad happened. I mean, it was a apartment full of fun. Everybody that remembers me from back then remembers. I mean, it just my place was a place to have fun and party and do what you want. So one time there's a little bitty porch outside my front apartment door, and I was just standing there getting some fresh air one day. And the landlord's daughter, the office was right around the corner. Well, she was about my age, 21, 22. She was notorious about making sure the apartment complex looked good, cleaning up trash, any kind of stuff. So she happened to walk around the corner. I just struck up a conversation with her. And I found out that they had owned that apartment complex for many, many years. So I said, you know what? I bet you've seen a lot of things in this apartment. People coming and going, moving, and good tenants, bad tenants. And she told me a few stories like, oh yeah, we've seen it all out here in this apartment complex. Then she looked, towards my apartment where I was standing, and she pointed at it. She goes, well, Bob, you do know that there was somebody murdered in your apartment many years ago. I'm like,
Wow.
Wow.
well, no, but maybe that would have been nice for you to tell me that before I moved in. And she told me the really gruesome details. His own Reader's Digest version, his own stepmother, this guy that lived there, his own stepmother came over, poisoned him, and then they got into a big scuffle. And then he was struggling to breathe on the floor, and she just stood back and watched him die.
Oh,
It was a very gruesome death, yeah. And but anyway, it happened in the kitchen, kind of right in front of the refrigerator, is what she was telling me. Well, she told me this story, and the common sense approach to that story was to leave it alone. Okay, it happened, goodbye. But no, I'm 21 years old. I know it all. I want to investigate that a little bit more. So I happen to remember a cousin of mine had a Ouija board.
Hmm.
And you know where the story's going, I'm sure. And
That's that word.
so, yeah, me and my infinite wisdom, sarcastically speaking, said, you know what? Maybe I could contact this guy. Wouldn't that be great? No. Young and dumb is all I can say. So one night, it was just a few nights later after the landlord told me what happened. I got in my apartment. Of course, I lived alone. It's a big one-bedroom apartment. Right around midnight, I had the board, and I lit a candle. I turned off all the lights in the apartment except on the kitchen floor. I lit a kind of a large candle. And then I sit right directly in front of the refrigerator where they found the body many years ago with the Ouija board and the planchette. So, and I knew the guy's name from the landlord's daughter. So I'm calling out to him. I'll say John, but that was not the name. Mm-hmm. I'll say, John, can you hear me? Hi, are you still here? I understand you used to live here. You had a, tragic death, whatever. A few minutes went by, nothing. No change in the temperature. The candle didn't flicker. So I kept calling. 5 minutes later, hey, are you here? Can you hear me? I'm trying to call you. Nothing. 5 minutes later, nothing. 10 minutes later, nothing. 15 minutes later, after doing that and doing that and doing that, no response. The little planchette did not move. I didn't feel threatened. There was no temperature fluctuation in the apartment. The candle was just straight up, never flickered, So finally I said, you know what? This is really stupid. I'm an idiot for even believing this in the first place. So I thought it's a waste of time. So I raised up, turned the kitchen light on, blew the candle out, and directly in front of me, the kitchen was kind of small, but where the refrigerator was, there's just a few steps up. If you leaned over, there's a set of cabinets right there. On the lower cabinets, I thought, you know what? I'm going to take this back to my cousin tomorrow because there's nothing to it. She never really used it in the first place. So I opened the cabinet up that was directly in front of me. I leaned over and put the board and the little planchette on top of it. Like, okay, I'm going to take this back to her. I felt like an idiot, really. So I'm getting ready for bed. I did have some house slippers on, and in the bedroom it was carpeted. So I kicked my slippers off. It went under the bed. And before I got in bed, I still do it. I have a little fan, something that makes a little noise, it keeps the breeze going. This is in April. It's not cold. It's not hot, but it's just
Right.
that noise. It
It's
blocks
the
out
noise, yeah.
barking dogs, neighbors next door, whatever. So I've always turned that little fan on. And so I'm laying there in the bed, turn the lights out, I'm done. All of a sudden, I don't know, I started getting chill bumps. And I didn't think nothing of it at first. I'm like, well, and then later on, it kept going. I'm like, why am I feeling chilled? It's not cold in here. I don't feel like I'm freezing right now. There's nothing going on. And I kept laying there and just staring straight up with my eyes open. Then I realized that's not coldness that I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling fear. I'm really afraid right now. I mean, I'm just laying there. I mean, I'm like petrified. And then all of a sudden, I can't mock the noise. And I don't want to, but there was this loud squealing noise in the room with me. It was just rah, like a high-pitched squeal. And it wouldn't break. It kept going. So now there's a light switches above my bed. I flick it on. I look up. The little fan that I had going, the blades are now doing this. And it's just squealing. So I'm like, you know what? That board is leaving this house tonight. It's leaving right now. I'm throwing it out in the car. I'm getting rid of it. So I get up, put my slippers back on. I jerk the fan out of the wall. I go in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, I'm going and getting the board out. So I open the board, the drawers, the cabinet. No board. No planchette. It's not there. Now, pots and pans, boxes, cards, paper, pens, anything that was in that cabinet is being thrown out. And I'm like, I'm not stupid. I put it right there in the cabinet. It was right there. Now the kitchen floor is littered. I'm like, I did not carry this board anymore. I leaned over and put it in this cabinet. And I'm going through everything again. It's not there. I'm looking around the kitchen counters. They're not there. I looked kind of where I was sitting in front of the refrigerator. Not there. I even kind of scanned the living room. I'm like, I didn't go in the living room, but I looked anyway. It's not there. So after about 20 or 30 minutes of that, like, okay, I'm just trying to calm down. It's here somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'll find it. So let me just go back to bed, deal with this in the morning. It's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning now. So I go back in my bedroom. Like I said, I had my house slippers on. So, like I normally do before I go to bed, I kick them under the bed. It's carpeted in there. But this time when the first house shoe hit that under the bed like that, I hear I'm thinking, now wait a minute, a house shoe hitting carpet doesn't have a sound like
Right.
that.
No.
I get on my hands and knees and I raise up the sheet and the quilt that was on the bed. Right underneath where I'd been sleeping was the board and the planchette.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
Wow.
And there was no way I did not carry that in the bedroom. And it was now under the bed, on the floor, under the bed where I've been sleeping.
Well, Bob, you have a question. Al asked, did you close that board when you were done with it?
Yes.
Wow. I'll tell you a story about a Ouija board. So I was on a previous paranormal team for many years, and the president of that team, he collects Ouija boards, and he kept them in totes under his bed, and his bed literally levitated one
Wow.
night.
On a footnote on that story I just told you, I brought in a psychic, but he explained something to me. Reader's Digest version. Yeah, he just said, I was still freaking out. I'm like, all I wanted to do was talk to this guy. I mean, I realized he had a bad, tragic death. It was terrible what happened to him. He actually was on drugs and alcohol too, which confounded the problem. I said, why did he treat me like this? Why was he scaring me? And the psychic just said, Bob, you did not contact the guy that was killed here.
Mm-hmm.
You contacted a demon.
Yep.
And then he added one more thing. He said, this is what really got me. He said, Bobby, did you ever have someone really close to you, an elderly person? I'm seeing a woman who really looked out for you, who really loved you, wanted the best for you. And the only thing I could think of was, 2 years ago, I met an elderly lady in a store that I was working at. I was helping her purchase something, and she actually was the one that led me to church. I'd never been to church in my life. and she seemed to set up some Bible studies for me. But unfortunately, I did not get baptized or get, involved with the church until after she passed away. And he said, because I told him the story, he goes, that makes sense. He said, here's what happened, Bob. That demon put his board under your bed. If it had cracked, and I mean cracked spiritually, it would have went through me, possessed or killed me. This little lady saw what was going on. And she had to get you out of bed. So that little fan that was squealing, because that was her getting you out of bed and out of danger.
Wow. That's great.
Now, who did you say you borrowed this board from?
My cousin. And I didn't, and she didn't want it back after I did that. The psychic made some chants. I don't know what chants he did, and we put it in a box and we disposed of it. I'll put it that way. And
What did you do with it? When I say asked dispose, did you? Just curious.
Well, they said don't burn it.
There's okay things to do with
They
it.
they said don't ever burn them, and we didn't.
Right, correct.
Thank you.
It was buried.
Oh, hey, I have to
That would have really scared me right there.
So yeah, and we saw a vision while he was doing that. He told me when we were in the living room when he was talking to me across the coffee table, and as he's talking to me, he said, "Don't take your eyes off me, Bob, during this." I'm like, "Okay." All of a sudden, I can see my bedroom. There's the lights on here. This is a few days later. All I can describe it is it was like a large 7-foot oval shape, like an egg shape, but it was all black. No arms, no eyes, but there was fuzz all around it. And I'm not telling him what I'm seeing. I'm not even responding. He goes, but he said, "Do you see that?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Talking about the bedroom, that's where he almost got you, wasn't it?" I'm like,
Wow.
"Yeah." So less than a month later, I was gone.
Man, I know Brandy and I know Tristan, you want to ask Bob some questions, but I have to make a quick comment, Bob.
Okay.
I've heard this story before, and I got to tell you something. I really listened in depth this time, especially with the weird stuff I was just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know something, and Krista and Brandy, I roomed with Bob for like the weekend in Jefferson, Texas. So I'm just hoping that I didn't bring nothing home from Bob's little experience, and I know nothing about it. Everything seems good with what he did, but man, thanks, Bob. I always that story just I got the double jitters going on tonight.
Well, I will say nothing did come with me, get attached itself to me, or the
good,
apartment.
Cool.
Footnote to that: 4 years later, like I said, a friend of mine's girlfriend, 4 years after I'd done moved out, moved into the same apartment complex, not knowing that I had lived there. But I told her the story, and I actually went back in the apartment and talked to her. And she goes, I said, "Have you ever experienced nothing?" "No, nothing's out of the ordinary here." So whatever quote was there did not follow me, and the psychic exorcised it from the apartment. So.
Wow.
No doubt.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy.
You had me all nervous there. I thought, oh my gosh, what did he do with it?
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, here we go.
So let me just do a real quick public service announcement. I know to y'all, but everybody watching this, whether you're watching live or don't mess with Ouija boards. They are not toys. Okay. I know they're in toy stores, and I know Parker Brother makes them, but don't mess with them. And I did it even worse. I did it alone, which was even worse.
Man.
So
yeah, absolutely.
There's my PSA.
And Ouija boards itself are not harmful. It's what you put into it. Your intent is what could make things potentially dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we talked about closing. You got to make sure you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hilton asked, why not burn?
Because you'll release all of that into the air.
Yes. Like I said, Hilton, earlier, when the board was under my bed, the psychic said had it cracked, and he didn't mean physically crack, maybe, but if it had cracked
the barrier
spiritually, then it would release, and I was right above it, so it would go through me, whether it would have killed me or possessed me.
Yeah.
That means the door would have been broken, and it would have been just open.
I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So
right.
Brandy, do you have any Ouija board stories?
I don't. I mean, the Ouija board stories I have are pleasant. They're fine. I haven't had any issues. Of course, I grew up with that in my home. My
Yeah.
mom was the guru. So, I always had good experiences with them, but I was also taught correctly opening and closing and that sort of thing. But I will tell you a story though. I got things going on in my home, and Kristen already knows these stories, and I have video backing it up.
She does.
Oh, wow.
So I'm at home. I'm by myself. My mom and my daughter had gone on a trip. I'm laying in bed. Now, when I'm laying in my bed, I can see into a room I called the nursery because that's where I had my daughter at when she was a baby. And they had built a garage onto that nursery. So there's still a window that you can see right through into the garage. One night, probably it's about 1:30. That's my witching hour. I don't know why. 1:30. I just woke up out of the blue. And I just trying to wake up and figure out what's going on, but I see a flashing light. And I'm looking at the opposite side of the room and I can see it. And then I turn my head and I look out that window and my garage light is going on, off, on, off. Then it'll stay on, then it'll go off. And I'm freaking out at this point.
Wow.
So I'm talking. I pick up my phone and I start recording because any good paranormal investigator knows when something starts happening, grab something. I don't care if it's a digital recorder, if it's your telephone, if it's your video camera, grab something. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to myself and I'm trying to get my robe on because it's chilly and and I'm freaking out. My adrenaline's at a high because I'm like, I've got to go out in the garage.
Yeah.
I've got to figure it out. So I'm talking and still it's doing this and it's flicking on and off. And there's not any, it's not like SOS or anything, like an algorithm or anything. It's just random.
Yeah.
So I go and I walk into my bathroom and there's a door to my garage through the bathroom. As soon as I go out there, I immediately flick on the overhead light. Nothing was blinking again. Now I have 3 bay doors and each bay door has its own light.
Mm-hmm.
So when you open the garage door, that light will come on when you pull in, of course, or when you pull out. And it was in the 3rd bay where this light was coming from. So I went outside, I checked everything, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but you can put a bay on like a vacation mode where it will not open, it will not close, the lights will not come on.
Mm-hmm.
I have a vehicle sitting in there that I don't use every day, so I just turn the vacation on that because I don't have to open up the door.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And that light was coming on and off, and there was no power running to it.
Wow.
Dang.
Oh,
That's
brother.
crazy.
And so I went through the whole
Wow.
garage and I'm looking, I got it all on video. It's amazing.
Ugh.
So not only did that happen, it happened again. This time my mom was home. I come out here and I'm like, Mom, hurry, come here. She's like, what? I was like, come here. She goes in my room and we sit on my bed and we're looking through the door and out this window. And she's like, what am I looking at? And she's like, oh. She couldn't believe it was happening either, and I was like, wow. And that's the only 2 times that has happened.
Spooky.
But another time, I'm laying in bed and I've got the light on and I'm just laying there. And then all of a sudden I'm looking over and I see like a little, like fuzz, like a black fuzz going across the window there, going to the outside. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay. And so then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull my camera out again. I sure did. Pulled my camera out and I'm watching it. Next thing you know, I watched my curtain go like that. It moved like that. And then it went just like that.
Wow.
Call it out on camera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's happening in my home. Now, this is normal every day. This is what's happening in my home. Now, my nephew, we'll go back to how this is going on. My nephew died in January of 2021.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He had just turned 21. He had lived with me through the COVID, and then also his father did too. His father was really ill because he caught like COVID back in February of 2020, and he got it bad to where it was like he was on kidney dialysis. He had congestive heart failure. I mean, we thought he was gone. We just thought he was gone. His diabetes got so bad that he had to have, a partial foot amputation. I mean, so he moved in with us so we could take care of him while his son came here too, because I mean, it was just that bad. So his son was living with us too. Anyway, so they moved out 2 months before that he had passed. He was in a vehicle, just driving down the road real late at night. It was a 1-car accident, and he hit a tree and it caught on fire.
Wow.
Oh.
So when he lived here, it's making me sad. Hold on. When he lived here, though, he would smoke. Well, he would always go outside, and I'm like, do not go outside. It's cold. I said, go in the garage and smoke. I said, just, lift the garage door, smoke out there. Well,
Right.
Anyway, he would go out there and he'd flick on all the lights in the garage. Now there's a whole bunch of lights out there. And again, they're shining in my room. I said, hey, go down to that third bay and just flick the overhead light on for the garage door. There's a little button. I said, just hit that. It's got enough light in there. That's enough. It's all you needed. It's amazing how that was the light after he passed that kept blinking.
Yeah. I think it was, he was giving you messages.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I believe it was him, but I want to know what he was trying to tell me,
Right.
at the time.
Well,
that he was there.
People who know people, so
Yeah.
You can get a
He
message.
was there, and
Excuse me.
it's just a really good feeling. I know he's here, so I don't open any cans of worms in my house. I don't get DVRs out. I don't call anybody. I don't use the Ouija board in my house. I don't do any of that. I am okay with what's here.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. So, I mean, so that's my story.
wow.
Wow,
That's
Yeah.
wow. Oh man.
Yeah. Brandon, I'm sorry. At the same time, I can tell you're good with it, but boy, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. Great story.
Yeah. It's just tragic when anybody who is that young,
Yeah.
and out there on a 2-lane road,
Yeah,
1 o'clock in the
terrible.
morning, all by yourself, you hit a tree. I can't imagine how just if he knew anything, how scared he was,
Wow.
if he knew anything.
Wow.
That's something. Whew.
Yeah. So Krista, I think it might be your turn to tell us a scary
Yeah,
story.
we want to hear your
My
side.
story. I've told my like demonic stories before, so
Give us a ghost story.
a ghost story. Hold on, my dog's scratching himself in the crate. If you guys can hear that, sorry about that.
Is that Hoss?
I
It's
hear.
Yeah, he's scratching
Well,
himself.
when
surprised
Hoss
my cat
scratches,
hasn't
the whole
interfered.
house shakes. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You're lucky my cat hasn't interfered yet, but I guess she's asleep, so we'll let her sleep.
Well, when I
My
do
dogs
get
haven't
scared,
barked. We're good with
Ross has
that.
been known to come in front of me. He's a big dog, and he'll be right in the screen, which Brandy's seen him. He's coming.
I got goosebumps, y'all.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. All right. Scary story. I'm trying to think of something that, you want to hear scary or just kind of like, scary?
Whatever you like to tell us. Whatever you want.
I don't know.
We're standing
I
by.
want to hear what scared you.
Yeah, I'm already freaked out anyways.
Yeah, we won't sleep good tonight for sure. So
I'll sleep like a baby until 1:30.
It's not everybody
Yes.
has heard. I'll talk about my demonic encounter.
please, yeah.
My, I don't know, the last one, I guess it would have been.
Now,
No, it
this
wasn't
is
the
not-
last one.
Now, this demonic story is not going to transverse through the interweb and hit me, right? I'm not
No.
going to pick up anything.
No, it's well taken care of. It's done.
And
Yeah.
before you start, I did have a question. Is that true? Like someone was telling me, if you're watching some satanic movie or documentary and people are chanting in this weird gibberish, turn it off, correct? Or it does, or
You know,
can
I've
that, can
heard
that
that
get
too.
transmitted?
I don't
No.
know. I've never had an issue.
I don't believe that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I have never had an issue myself.
Yeah.
Again, it's all with intent. I
Yeah.
mean, if you had the intent and you wanted something to manifest in front of you, I guess that it would.
Yeah. So,
But
you know what?
if if you weren't if it was just entertainment to you and you weren't thinking about it that way,
Yeah.
then no.
But you make a great point, Krista and Brandy. I'm glad you guys are part of our group because you said 3 times, which I picked up on. It makes me feel better. That word intent.
Mhm.
Intent. I never really thought about that. I mean, I've never had any ill intentions, but
Mhm.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And actually, for me, thank you because it does clear up a lot of questions that I have. Just one simple word, which is actually quite the big word if you
Yeah.
think about it.
It is. Yeah. And it's the same thing when people do like home cleansings and stuff. You can say the words all day long. Words are just words. But until your intent is right and you truly mean it from your heart, it's not going to work. Same
Yeah.
thing with a prayer. I feel like, when you pray to God, he hears you, your intent is there, it just,
Yes.
Mhm.
But remember, intent can backfire, like it did with me. I tried to call this person, and somebody else picked up the line.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
mhm.
Again, it's what you wanted to do. It's not exactly what happened. I
Yeah.
mean, you got somebody
Yeah.
or something, but
Something. Yeah.
something. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I'll tell you about my little demonic
Please. Yes,
story.
we're ready.
So I don't know. Some of you guys I know have heard this story before, but so this was been several years ago. We got called to a private case in Salina, Kansas, and it was my friend Kathy, and I can't say his real name, but he asked that I call him Anthony Bublé.
Uh, uh,
Yeah,
very Christmassy. I think there's a
Right.
bootleg that sings.
So we call him
that's
that.
what we call them.
And his wife was there. And when we showed up, it was this little rundown house, and we're not judgmental people at all. And when we got there, he was just a big old boy, and a real frail lady was sitting in there, and we'll come to find out after talking, because we do the initial talk and stuff, but what they had failed to leave out when we had talked to him on the phone is that he had just gotten out of prison for murder. He was part of the M13 gang or whatever that gang is.
Oh,
Outstanding.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Outstanding. Yes.
Yeah.
Go forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of, I'm sure my face went white at that time. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm standing in a murderer's house, here, got called in because he got thrown across the room, thinking they had demons. I'm like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's the demon,
Mhm.
that lured us here. But anyway, make a long story short, they were super nice people. And we walked through the whole house. And my job when we do these demonic cases is, I don't know why, but I find them. I see them. Anthony Bublé, we walk through the house together and they hide from him. So I can pick them out. This house was empty. I didn't pick up a ghost spirit. I didn't pick up demonic. I didn't pick up nothing. So my friend Kathy and I walked outside to smoke. And we were I was kind of drawn to the shed behind, and we were walking towards it, and I don't know, probably within just, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 feet of it. And we got rushed literally enough that it made us fall to the ground. And so I looked at Kathy, she looked at me and she's like, we found it. When I'm like, yeah, we did. So go in and tell Anthony Bublé kind of come outside without, freaking out the homeowners.
Oh, wow.
So he come outside and I was like, it's out here in the shed. We told him what happened. So he's like, okay. So we all go back in and while we were out there, he said, I feel something about the BTK killer. He was picking up something on the BTK killer.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, I love that case.
Yeah. So, we weren't really sure what was going on there with the BTK killer type thing. And, because I told him, I said, the BTK killer is still alive. There's no reason why, it should be, why is the BTK killer coming through? So to make a long story short, he told me to stand in the hallway and he was going to call this demonic entity in. While he was doing that, I know no fear, you don't show fear to anything, scary.
Sure.
But inside, I truly was scared, but you just don't show the fear.
Yeah, you can't. Uh-huh.
Right. So this entity, I felt it literally, like he lured it in. I literally could feel breath on my face. It was that
Oh,
close.
wow. Ooh.
And then he told me to move, and then he come flying through the hall, and he sat down next to the lady, and he held her hands, and so the rest of us started praying over him, and we literally watched invisible razor blades slash his head, his arms,
Oh,
his
ouch.
shirt was turning bloody, his chest, and it was just blood coming from you couldn't see it, but you could see the slashes happen as they were happening. So anyway, he ended up doing the exorcism on this lady. So back on the BTK killer, he mentioned to her, he said, I don't know why I'm picking up the BTK killer. Well, she broke down and started crying. She was one of the survivors, the only survivor of the BTK killer.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty crazy. And we ended up talking, we don't ever just like leave a client. Okay, we're done. We're out of here.
Yeah.
So we ended up talking to her, and their house is real dark, and I told her, open up your curtains. You need love and light and that kind of stuff in here, and so she let sunlight and stuff in. So we heard from her not real long after, and she had actually applied or tried to go on to not America's Got Talent, but what's that other one, the big one? I don't know, one of those shows where you go on
X Factor or something, or
not the X Factor. What's the
Fear
other
Factor?
one? No.
The Voice.
American
No.
Idol.
Well, anyway, one of those shows.
America's Got Talent? I don't know.
Well, we named them all. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, she didn't get on. But the fact that she was cleared, she wasn't didn't have that entity with her anymore, and their life is good, and they're together and they're happy, and he's changed his life around, and
That's
so
good.
it was a happy ending.
I guess so.
You don't get that a whole
That
lot.
is scary. Wow. That
No,
was
Yeah.
you don't get that a whole lot.
No, you don't.
No,
Yep.
and it was when I tell people, I am not there when a picture is taken or when you tell me about your story, because honestly, if I would tell somebody on the street what I witnessed, with the slashes happening
Yeah.
and the blood coming up out of nowhere, people would think I'm crazy. They wouldn't believe me.
Yeah. I
I tell you what, the power of God that night in that house, the whole atmosphere changed in that house.
That's good to hear.
It was crazy. It was, and then Anthony Bublé, he had
I can't play my Christmas music now.
he ended up, he wasn't even holding a cross, but he had a cross burnt into his palm.
Christ.
Wow.
Excuse me.
So, yeah, it was.
You play that Christmas music.
I will.
I got a little Christmas house if that'll work.
Yeah. So
Something.
it was a pretty crazy experience, and
Yeah.
that was one when I got to say I was scared but couldn't show it, and after we got out of there, I was relieved, I was thankful.
Yeah, and
Very good. Yeah.
you talk about these things. We've all four of us have had crazy stuff going on, and it all, as I'm learning more about the paranormal, right, and things like that, it all seems like it focuses back to like some sort of energy, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what type of energy had that force just slash somebody? I mean, that's to me,
That's something.
certainly
Oh my
that's
gosh,
sinister.
Yeah.
That is something sinister.
Yeah. Al asked, did the house get lighter and brighter? And absolutely it did. It was the craziest thing because people say, oh, it gets it. But until you actually witness something like that, like the whole atmosphere of the house changed. These people were, in a funk and not real talkative. Just even when we left, their whole mood had changed. And
Yeah.
they're
Wow.
today. So I just,
It's not like somebody just turned on a bright light, but it's kind of like somebody
it
who
kind of
would
was.
smile.
It was the
Would
craziest
smile.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just changed. Like they would be nicer. They wouldn't, be as snappy talking to somebody, or it's easy, but you can just feel the change as it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, after I had that experience, I don't judge anybody for their experiences, be it paranormal, UFO, Bigfoot, just because, my story sounds pretty unbelievable. And honestly, to most people it is. But I swear on the Holy Bible,
I believe every word of it.
that's truth.
Yeah. Some
You
people
know?
don't believe my story either. They just maybe
Nope.
I created that in my. No, I didn't create
Yeah.
No,
Mm.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever witnessed with
Wow.
I mean,
him.
look what I live with every day.
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
you
I
know,
I,
Yeah.
I
guys,
live with mine every day.
and
Yeah.
you know what? You know what's cool though, and that's why we have this group, right? We have our flagship with Texas Front Porch, got the Blondes, the Booze, Bob, Van Buren Variety, mine, Jason's show. But you know what's cool about everybody, and really, and all the people that are in chat, all the people listen later and the next day. It's cool to come here because we all have got these stories that are unbelievable. If I were to tell this to the mailman,
Yeah.
if I were to tell the police officer on the corner or the fire department head, right, or hell,
Yeah.
some clerk at Walmart, they're gonna look at me like, "Get the heck out of here!" Right?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I love about you guys and everybody in this community. You don't have to worry, right? Because one
Yeah.
thing that I always try to preach, if you got any issues, please come and talk with us. Send us an email. You
Mhm.
don't have to come on the show because
Right.
we are experiencers, man. Girls, Bob, everybody
Yeah.
listening, text, Jason. We know. And there's many people out there. And that's what I love about what you guys do, what we do, because I've been there. We've all been there. And you need a place to tell people that, hey, you know what? You could tell me your crazy ass story. Because
Mhm.
I guess what? I'm probably gonna believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
When I owned my bar, after I had my encounter, I put up a jar. I said, screw this. I had a jar. I said, Bigfoot, Dogman, Ghost, Paranormal. It was a jar. And I said, and I had a write up slip. If you want to be anonymous, write something down here and just leave it in the jar. Don't put your name, your number, nothing. I'll pull it out and I'll look at it. And if you want to come to me during hours, after hours, and tell me about it, I'll help you out. Because
Mhm.
I started telling people in my bar that I had experiences. I didn't tell them that I thought the bar was haunted because I didn't find this out till like 4 years later.
Right.
But when I had my encounter with Bigfoot and stuff, I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let it be known and not care about it. Plus, you get a bunch of people drunks sitting around the bar, and I tell them that story. They're like, "Oh yeah, Rob, that's great." But on a serious note, a lot of people came forward, man. A lot of people came forward.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing this. I love you
Yeah.
guys. I love all the stories.
Me
And
too.
unfortunately, you have a lot of, I've had people, when I tell them a story, I mean, not that they're insulting me, but they'll say, well, you can tell they're skeptics. And a few of them have actually said, you know what, until something like that happens to me, I don't believe it. And I will say, listen, you don't want something like that to happen to
No.
you.
Right.
Don't say
No,
that.
right. There's certain things, yeah, you
Wow.
don't want to have.
Yeah.
No.
I want to answer Crystal's question real quick. She said, so was the BTK killer that was slashed with the knives or the demon who inhibited? It was actually it was a demon, and it wasn't a demon like with the BTK killer because he's still alive. It was just a demon in general. And our friend Anthony Bublé is psychic medium. And that's what he picked up the BTK killer around her. So really it had nothing to do with the BTK killer. But however, the demonic entity, with as much negative as they had in their lives, what I forgot to mention is that she was a prostitute in Wichita, Kansas, when her incident happened with the BTK killer. And then with him, being a murderer, there's just a lot of negative
Mm-hmm.
in their life, and they brought it in themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chris,
So
and really, and talking about the BTK killer, wasn't he like an upstanding citizen? Wasn't he like a school
yeah,
teacher or what?
I
And
think
for
he worked in
20,
like the city
the
or
city, but
something.
he was he was went to church every Sunday, from what I
Yep.
remember reading. He was well respected in the
Yep.
community, and he was just like your neighbor.
Wow.
And and not even getting into this to getting any deeper, who was the guy that one of the most feared killers
Yeah.
of women, not Jeffrey Dahmer, but the real suave, good looking dude.
Oh, I can't remember his name. I don't know who you're talking about, but I can't.
The
His
guy
name
that would
escapes me.
pretend like he had a broken arm or something.
No, he's smooth talker. Boy, I can't believe I can't think of his name.
Yeah, it was all in the news. I can't remember.
How long ago? Like
about 20 years ago.
It's been a while.
It's
yeah.
on Netflix still right now. There's a
Ted Bundy? Was it Ted Bundy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Ted
we got that
Bundy.
in chat. Thank you, Be Kind and Robbie.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I can't see the chat, and thank you for everybody. I love you all. Thanks for coming in. That guy, he was just smooth, but anyone, a chilling thing that he said, and I remembered his quote. He says, serial killers, they're all among us. They're your priests, your policemen, your fire people, your mailman, your mother, your father, your school teacher. You just don't know. We're there and we'll get you. That you guys freaked me out and I read that. That's not verbatim, obviously, but you get my gist. And this guy, you know what? Frankly, unfortunately, he's right.
Tex and I had that same conversation on my show last night about serial killers. That they're among us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bob, do you remember we had a discussion about a certain town you wanted to, check into and see what was happening in a certain cemetery?
Cemetery, yes.
So I'm digging and I'm looking and I'm trying to find stuff, and I still got to dig into more. I mean, really. And I find this article about that one of Ted Bundy's victims lived in this specific county
yes,
that
wow.
I'm looking up for him. And I sent him, the article, her picture. It's strange. I mean, I got to dig into it more, but it's just like he got around and he killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he was so charming, I guess, that people just couldn't resist. He was just one of those that he just kind of like suck you right in, and before you know it,
yeah,
it's kind of creepy too. That I sent you a picture of that cemetery, that old cemetery, and some of my ancestors are born there. And then here you find something completely different related to the same county. Yep. So there's got to be fate intervening. Sometimes.
Yeah, there's something going on with that county, and I'm going to figure it out. I don't know yet. I haven't got through all there's not a whole lot in the resources that I'm looking at. I'm going to have to find something else. And that may be hitting up the record for that county itself.
Sure. Would love to hear what you find out, for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're talking about your relatives in the cemetery, and then next thing you know, you're running into a serial killer. You're just like
something else completely goes out of left field.
Yeah, that was really strange. Yeah. Good. But it's in my research work, so we'll see where that goes.
Would love to know what you find out. Like I said, that cemetery was started in like the 1870s, I think.
Yeah.
So it's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be Kind has a question real quick. She says, Krista and Brandy, not excluding Rob and Van Buren, I am clairaudient all of my life. It makes no sense. Can you share any insight about why I hear things? Absolutely. So being clairaudient, it's not something that some people are born with it. I believe everybody has some sort of abilities. And it's whether, you choose to use them or not. So if you've been hearing things all your life, that's why. I mean, if you're clairaudient, that is why you hear things. So
don't let it scare you. I hear it all the time. Don't let it scare you. It's just people trying to talk to you. You could be hearing them in the middle of a conversation. All they want to do is just chat too. I mean, you got to remember they were people in life too, and they just want to live with you. They want to talk with you. They want to experience things with you. Don't be scared of it.
Yeah. And be kind if you want to learn how to, control it and learn more or whatever, just holler at us and we can hook you up with the right people for sure.
Yes. And I'm still learning every day. So, I mean, it's not like you learn once and it's all good. It's you learn and then you keep learning.
Yeah.
Because it's constantly changing.
Now, this is a creepy statement, what Daryl just said. In 2016, when he was still a mayor, he got notices that at any time there were an estimated 209 serial killers loose in the USA.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I believe it, though. I definitely believe that.
Yeah. That's
I,
scary.
I watch Discovery Plus, and I can't tell you how many documentaries they have on serial killers. I mean, there's just a
Well,
ton.
oh yeah, on Netflix, Brandy. Yeah, I mean on Netflix anyway. I noticed that, and I'm kind of like, I haven't watched too many of them because I am. I will admit I'm into the subject. I'm into all like we all are, right? But what did Daryl say? 209 serial killers.
209.
Yeah.
That's funny, and I might even argue that it might even be more. I mean, we just hear about the
Yeah.
ones that get caught. What
Yeah.
about the ones that have not been caught that are still out there?
Yeah.
Or that they have not connected murders to, so they don't
Yes,
know if they're a serial
correct.
killer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Absolutely. North Carolina Crypt and Paranormal Project says raising your frequency can make you open to the seeing and hearing of the other side of the spectrum. I 100% agree with that.
Yes. Yes, you got to have good vibrations going.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys, that poses a question again. I'm a novice in this, and
Mhm.
it says raising your frequency. So, I mean, what? Like me, I'm gonna be play dumb. How do you? I mean, what do I do? Sit in my chair? What do I do to raise my frequency? I mean, open your mind. I mean, I'm open minded. I heard about don't use toothpaste, fluoride. I mean, I don't know. See, I'm being, I'm not being smart or
Right,
dumb. I just
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
I'm interested. I am.
Krista, why don't you explain to him about opening your third eye?
Well,
And what that means.
A lot of it,
Pineal gland?
is
Penile.
meditation and things like that, and a lot of it too is being positive and
Oh, okay.
and asking positivity to come into your life and you're raising your vibration. Does that make sense?
So what you're
Surround
saying is like,
yourself with happiness,
Well-
and happy people, and it slowly
Okay.
you build each other up.
so what I do is, yeah, I'm into that all the time. I'm very happy, very jovial. Give everyone good wishes. But to further that, you're suggesting maybe just take time out for yourself. And you mentioned meditation because I've heard that. Meditate and just project good vibes to yourself and
Yeah.
others while you're meditating. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, you got to take into account also bad vibrations can bring on bad things.
Right.
So,
That's
I
true.
mean, energy is energy,
Yeah.
There it is.
whether it be
Again,
high
it's
or
about
low.
Your intent. Your
Mm.
intent.
There's the
Of course,
word
there's
intent.
For the fifth time. Yes, I've got that written down. Yes. Absolutely.
You will be sleeping, dreaming intent.
Woo!
Yeah,
You
no,
will
I'm just- hey,
retain that.
That's why I'm glad I'm here because you guys, you guys are a wealth of knowledge in this area.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what people don't understand. They don't understand that they can attract things if they're say you're in the home with the husband and wife, they're constantly arguing. I mean, even though it is not good, it's bad, but it still attracts. It's still
Okay.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
I mean, you can welcome bad things into your home without even realizing you're doing it, and that's why you have to be, I guess, mindful of what's going on. Check yourself, meditate, make sure that you're in a good place. Especially if you're a clairvoyant, clairaudient, in the paranormal period.
Al makes a good statement and something that I wholeheartedly believe, and I did not say. But, when you meditate, you need to protect yourself before, dark things can attach to you during meditation. And that's very true.
Okay.
So, people can white light, they can say a prayer, you're covered in the blood of Jesus, whatever your religious belief is.
Yeah.
Again, intent, it's got to work.
Intent,
And then you
right?
can meditate.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Always say your prayers.
Right.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just like anything. Going into a haunted hotel, you've got to make sure that you're ready, that you're set right when you go in, because like I said, energy is energy, and if you're not ready, you might be giving off the wrong energy and not protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I get it. So when I'm on the freeway and my intention is to flip off the guy that cut me off, smile and wave at him. That's just a joke,
That's actually it. But you have to smile and wave and mean it.
No, I don't mean it. I know that. It's just like
Not
I
smile and wave and be a
no,
smart butt.
they'll be a smart aleck. I get it. Listen, I can be, but I'm taking this very seriously, and it's just like, and you guys, this is not a joke either. You ever watch a vampire movie and you got the demon, the devil, vampire, Christopher Lee. He's got the cross, and some guy is in there, and he comes up to the vampire with the cross, and because the cross supposedly it will ward off the vampire, and he comes up, grabs it, and he just crushes it in the guy's hand, and the guy looks at him, and the vampire says, "You have to believe for it to work." The
It's
cross.
true.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well,
Yeah.
on that note, here in a couple weeks, we will have some modern day vampires on our show.
Ooh.
You might want to stay tuned for that one.
Actually, I think it is.
That's cool.
Is it next week? I think it's next Friday.
I'll have to look at it. You know what? Our schedule is so full. I don't even know what day's what. But
Yeah.
it might be next. No, yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
it is.
I tell you what, you guys on Facebook, you guys are like, I look at your page all the time. You guys are booked through like February, for God's sake.
No, I'm into March now.
We're March now.
Oh my God.
Hey, if you get those vampires on the show, ask them this question. I used to be a true fan of the show True Blood. Are y'all familiar with that?
Yes, I love that show.
I used to watch
I never
that
watched
religiously.
it, but yeah.
It's about vampires. You could just ask them, is that fictional? Is there any truth to that? So I'd just like to know.
You know what? I'm sure they'll tell you all about it.
So True Blood was a good show.
I watched one of our coming up guests. I watched him speak and heard a lot, and I'm sure there's more that I don't know. So I'm really excited for it because I want to hear, exactly what this kind of lifestyle means in today's, today's society, because it's different. It's different. But then again, they're friends of ours.
Yeah. We know them personally. And
we know them personally, and I don't see anything different. I mean, they're just normal, everyday people.
Who
they're
you would never know.
Vampires. Now there are such a thing as energy vampires. I do know that suck out.
Yeah.
Like like an evil entity.
So the vampires that we have coming on, they are not bloodsuckers. It's
no.
And I'll let Nick and Tig explain, but they don't drink the blood or do any of that stuff. But they do practice the vampire ways, and they'll explain all of that. And
it's really interesting. It is very interesting.
Yeah.
But an energy vamp is a whole different thing. They don't have to be a vampire to be one.
I know. I just heard of that terminology. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is a true thing. There are a lot of energy vampires out there.
There are so many.
I've had goosebumps for this whole show, you guys. That's a good thing, though. It's good, though.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know what an energy vampire is, it's somebody who just literally drains you of all of your energy. It's just like you go somewhere with them and then they talk, and then, they're always worried about something, or, they've got to be first in everything, and they're just so demanding of you. You're just exhausted by the time you're done. You're just like, I'm finished. I got to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're wore out by the time you're over.
You're done. I mean, you could sleep like for hours and just have to take a nap because you're just so dang tired.
Yeah. Like Kind says, it sucks your emotional and physical energy out of you, and that's 100% true.
Oh, and God love them. God love them, because I know, because that's just like reaching out for help, attention. It's something that they need, and you're just like, I haven't got enough in me to give it to you. Just don't.
Let me ask you. What, you guys? I've learned so much just today from you guys. I just even thought of something, talking about energy and all this. And have you ever been around people? Because I know a lot of people, here and there. Do you ever realize that when you're with a certain group of people, they're jovial, they're happy, and you feel great. When you go home, you feel great.
Right.
And then there's these people whether they're your friends or acquaintances, or you just run into them at the Walmart. I don't know, whatever. And that's, but you can tell that, and I felt this before. I just kind of just feel like there's something about them that brings me down, and I don't even have to talk to some of these people. And
Mhm.
some though, when you talk to them, like I'm like, hey, like I'm the type of guy. If I seen any of you guys at a gas station, I'd be, hey, how you doing? That's how I am.
Right.
I'm like that. So if I'll say, hey, how you doing to someone, they're like, man, don't talk to me type of attitude. I mean, sometimes I feel that also I feel like when I leave after that happens to me, I feel kind of drained sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Absolutely.
wondering if it's just because of my personality or it's because these people have this so-called lower frequencies, as I'm learning, kind of sucks it out from you, correct?
Mhm. Yeah, those are what I would consider energy vampires.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they'll suck the happiness right out of you. They
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
will. It's kind of like, and they could be people you love. It could be a family member. It's just like, but for your own sake, you have to distance yourself. You have to, make time for yourself, do things for yourself, and push them out of the picture for a little bit, just so you can recover, because you have to build up your energy again to be able to go the next time.
Yeah. And also you could have maybe even some kind of like abilities like be an empath or something too, because you're picking up,
Yeah.
you're picking up all these different emotions and it's
Yeah.
sucking you dry.
Yeah. Krista may have a point there.
No. Yeah. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys both make great points. I've learned a lot.
Well, good.
Yeah. Stay away from those people. That's what we're telling you.
No, I do anyways. But then there's certain crowds of people that they're just like, okay, fine, I'll come clean. My best friend is negative Nelly.
Yeah.
My
The only
God,
time that
and
I
I've
find
known
that
her since.
that I protect myself from people like that is if I'm with a whole group of people, and and they're really good people, and then you'll have one or two of those
Yeah,
energy
no,
vamps. It's the only thing that saves me.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you guys are being my psychologist or psychiatrist today because this is my best friend. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but I've been feeling this way for like a year. My best friend since 7th grade. Man, every time he comes over, okay, everything's negative. I'm not going to say negative about what, just negativity. And he's my best friend. I would, go to bat for him, and I would do what I can to help him. I love him. I do truly love him. But I can't wait when he leaves my house. And I'm starting to feel like, man, and it was never like that before though, Brandy.
Right.
I love to
Right.
see him all the time. And I've known him since we were like 13. And it's like now it's like I really love to see him, but I look at my watch and I put not well my phone. And I said after about 45 minutes, I'm gonna be, man, get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I mean that with love when I say that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad when you go, and I'm battling that today. That's, I guess, if I have any issues today in life, is with my best buddy because, quite frankly, if I could, I don't need to see him, and
Right.
I sound like a jerk for saying that. And I'm not a bad energy person, but that's what it sucks out of me, though. Is what I'm trying to say. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of learning from you guys. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. And it's a shame, though.
Sure.
Well, yeah, and then with what Chris and I deal with on sometimes daily basis with the paranormal and things is we've got to separate the living from the dead. And sometimes when we're feeling things and doing things, they mix together. And unfortunately, it's a real thing
Yeah.
that some people's emotions can overpower anything else.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn to actually make a division between the two. I went with Krista, and we went on a private investigation. I couldn't determine what was going on. I felt one type of person in the house, and come to find out it was the living.
Mm.
That's just how people are,
Yeah.
are
Sure.
wired sometimes. And the energy, the energy. Sometimes they're so high wired that they need energy from you to keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you stop it? How do you stop it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, God love them, but I'm gonna go home now.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing. I love what you had to say, but I was looking at my phone because I can't read the chat. And Be Kind says, "What is it about Walmart?
I was
Why
just
do I
thinking
need
that.
to avoid it with?"
We're not bashing Walmart, but
We
I
can
have
go
to avoid it with the
Walmart, we
white
can go
hot passion.
Target.
yeah, we'll start
Jesus,
saying Target now. Next
Yeah,
time,
Yeah.
yeah.
just
We
Target,
slam poor old Sam Walton enough.
dang Starbucks.
Dang Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
The
I love you.
Dunkin' Donuts.
I love Be Kind. She's
Yeah.
cool.
Yep, absolutely.
Um.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so just talking and talking about energy vamps and this thing. Krista told me today, and we were talking about on the Facebook thing, and we're getting so many people on our Facebook.
Hmm.
And she says, well, have you thought about doing a public page for yourself and add them on there? And I said, no, but I need to, because I'm losing out on my family and my friends and the people I love to hear about. And and even though I'm paranormal, cryptid, UFO, and I love to read about it and love to see it, but it's
Yeah.
kind of interfering with my Facebook page. So that's like what I was talking about, is separating yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to have your family time. You've got to have the you time, the meditation
Mhm.
time. And then there's time for, the other
No,
things.
and Brandy, wow, you're speaking my language, because the only reason I started a Facebook page was I never had one until Jason McLean talked me into it, and for publicity. See, my
Mm-hmm,
Facebook, if you're a member of my Facebook page, or if you're a member of my group,
mm-hmm,
it's not because like I know you personally, but I know you because you're into cryptids, you're into the paranormal, you're into
mm-hmm,
UFOs. So the people that are on my Facebook aren't like my quote unquote friends outside of this.
right, right.
In fact, my
Mhm.
friends outside of this, the reason my Facebook page is, I don't even know it, BMR Rob Carr, is because that's a made up, it's part of my name, but people that on the outside, they would never figure that out.
Right, right, right.
Now, every once in a while, one slips through and I accept them. I'm like, well, if you don't dig Bigfoot, then there's no use coming on, because all you see is my videos and promoting my friends in this field, right? So,
Right.
Right.
and because a lot of people just don't, again, my best friend since seventh grade don't believe my Bigfoot encounter, yet I believe his stupid ass ghost story he told me, right?
Right. Exactly.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's I need to separate the two, only because is I live and breathe blondes and booze and
Yeah.
the ghosts and cryptids. I do. I really, really do. And but I'm missing the part of my family,
Okay.
their my friends, their children, and I'm like,
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
man, I get lost in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then here we go back to the energy vamp. I have one or two people on my Facebook, and I do know them, and I know them very well.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen the selfie queen? The selfie queen, the one that's always taking those pictures of themselves everywhere.
Oh,
There's not
Oh,
even
yeah.
scenery, there's not anything. And that's my Facebook energy vamps.
oh,
No,
It's
I
like,
see.
look at me, aren't I pretty?
I know.
Well, I gotta say, Brandy, me and you both take a lot of selfies, and we take them together.
Yeah, but we take weird selfies. I mean,
You're talking
usually
about.
never a normal face.
I mean, I think Brandy's meaning the glam shot. Like,
Yes.
look at me. Look at me.
Look at me.
Right.
Look at me.
Right.
But
Like this picture here. This is our glam shot.
yeah,
Oh,
there you
yeah,
go.
now I
Mhm.
like
Lamb
that.
shot.
That's
That's funny.
outstanding. I like that. Well,
That's
you
our
should
glam
make that
shot.
you got to put that for your new page for your Blondes and
I
Booze
know.
page.
It actually on my public figure page is
Yeah.
that is my background.
Oh, okay.
That is.
That's cool.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, so we did that, and we were talking about that. That's the best way that we're going to be able to share information too to people. So I'm thinking, yeah, that'll be good. And then it doesn't get lost in everything else. So I'll be
Yeah.
able to keep up with my cryptid and my paranormal friends and all of that easier
Right.
instead of trying to separate them out of my Facebook. It's great, and especially now because I tell you, I got thrown in jail, Facebook jail.
That happens a lot. Mhm.
Yeah,
I
you
heard
know what
that
I said?
happens.
You know what I said? I said somebody talking about a spider coming up out of the drain, and I said I might have to burn my house down. That's all I said, and I got thrown in Facebook jail.
What?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Ridiculous.
That's,
Yeah,
I,
and then it's like I couldn't
okay.
I couldn't talk or do anything for a day. I couldn't get on any groups for 5 days, and then I was monitored for 30.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sounds
For one
like
thing I
Elon
said.
Musk should buy Facebook now.
That's nothing. That's not even. I don't even. What big? I would think big deal. Who cares? I mean, I laugh at it.
Yeah. They just heard burn the house down is what they seen. They didn't
Or
see
burn.
Oh, yeah.
Burn is
Oh.
the key word.
Yeah.
Burn
And
is
again,
the key
Yeah.
word.
And again, with that as an algorithm, the computer's not even a human
Yep.
viewing this stuff. So yeah, I get that. But
Right.
Right.
I see people spout off about the dumbest stuff, and again, none of my friends, but I know. So which is kind of mine's pretty tame. My group's pretty tame. So
Yeah.
All right. Rob, you
Yeah.
said you had maybe a ghost story about your bar?
I did. In fact, I will tell it to you in just 2 minutes. I'll let my dog out. He's staring at me.
Just let me out now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will. I'll be back in a second.
Okay. That'll work. Sounds good. Yeah.
There's yeah,
Jean
because
says she got in trouble.
I don't want to forget that story because that last one was good. So
Jean
I'm like,
says, got in trouble with Facebook for saying I couldn't find my glue gun. That's crazy. I mean, yeah. I know lots of people who have made comments, similar to like Jean's or yours. And yeah, it's
I just couldn't believe that happened. I said, what? It's a Facebook crazy. That way I can,
yeah.
and plus I'm in so much trouble on my own page.
Yeah.
It's like I
Right.
need to make a new one just so I, can have a clean slate.
Yeah. I was reading about people when we were talking about the selfies. Somebody says, or Jean says, and then you post one, LOL, sorry, just don't understand why everyone sticks their tongue out.
It's the fish lips for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a tongue trick, but it's probably not something that y'all want to see on the show. So I got a really long tongue, so I'll put it that way.
Wow.
That's a different show.
Goes back to this picture. Look at Aaron.
Well, I can show it to you right now. Ready?
Oh no. You touch your nose.
A guy once told me, he goes, Bobby, if you want to impress girls with that, put it on your nose, not in your nose. Because that grosses girls out. They're still doing it. So anyway,
Funny.
didn't mean to interrupt your show now.
Okay,
Well,
it's all
we're
good.
basically just waiting for Rob to get back.
Well, we do have a question.
Oh.
So when I see the departed, they appear completely physical, not ghostly. What do you think? Well, I posted a post today on Blondes and Booze Facebook that it was a guy in spirit, but he looked just like you and I, totally physical. You couldn't see through him, you couldn't see anything, and yeah, I mean that happens. And I also think that people, not everybody looks the same as like when they pass. So if you're 102 years old and you pass, that doesn't mean you're going to see them as 102. They might have felt their best when they were at 35, so they may come back to somebody at the age of 35. So, but yeah, be kind. That's that's what I think. It wasn't, they're not ghosts. They're actual spirits.
Yeah, we've seen them in all shapes and forms. I mean, it's not unusual to see. Well, it is unusual, basically,
Well,
to
I
see
was
that.
talking about spirit wise, not ghost wise. So is what I.
But she said they appear completely physical.
Yeah, and the one that I had posted about today on the blondes,
Was completely physical.
just like me and you. Yep, he was. So yeah, we've
Absolutely.
been BSing, Rob, till you got
Yeah,
back.
I figured Bobby would have enough time to promote his show, Van Buren Variety. You can find
No,
it
Oh
on
no,
the.
I went
he
left
was
field
showing
when
a
you were
parlor
gone.
trick.
Yeah,
No,
I
we're
was
gonna
doing a
go over
parlor
all
trick.
that before we leave.
I know. I'm just kidding.
You missed it. Maybe that's a good thing, Rob.
Yeah, probably talking about me.
Yeah,
Oh no, it was
we'll
worse
let
than
you
that.
tell your story, and then we'll kind of come to a close.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
3:30 comes early.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. Witching hour for me. Um. I usually go to bed about 3:30.
I wake up
Lately,
to go to work at 3:30.
I know. Me and Tex did the late show, and we were getting ready to wrap it up. Who popped in chat about 5 in the morning? It was Brandy.
Hi.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. This is a pretty cool story. This is. I've told this a couple times. It's one of my favorites. I know a lot of your listeners and audience hasn't heard it. Much like you, Krista, you always talk about the Blade one you said. This one here, but it's like the best. I always had a thought that there was something strange with the bar. This bar in the 1920s, it was actually it was standing. The structure was still standing there. Back during the bootlegging, it was during like when there was bootlegging. So I don't know if that's quite the 1920s, but I made nothing of that. Because I did research after a lot of things started happening, and so owning my bar, like unlike a lot of bar owners or managers, I was there pretty much at 10 in the morning till 3 at night, 3 a.m. So I pretty much worked 7 days to work. My schedule for 13 years was 10 a.m. till 3 a.m.
Oh,
During football season, I wasn't around. That's the only day I took off during football. And so in the basement of my bar is where the office is. So at the end of the night, you wrap up, you go in the basement, you do your books. You collect the money, you kind of run it through the computer, see what you made, what you lost, this and that, and tie things up. And then you make sure that at the night, all the bar tables are clean. The countertops. I had a bar that had a square. Like that bar Cheers. One section was a
Mhm.
square, and in the center was all the booze bottles hanging down with all the glassware. And then down about 30 feet, there was another separate room with a long bar where people would hang out. There's like a pool table back there and stuff like that. So from the square bar off to about to the right, you'd go down right to the basement where I set up the office. And I also set up a room and I put a bed down there. And it was just not for me. Anybody that worked late, they wanted to crash because I didn't care if my managers or the bar ladies if they had too much to drink, because sometimes a lot of bar patrons would come in and buy my girls shots, and I kind of let them drink with the patrons as long
Mhm.
as they didn't get too loaded. So I was pretty cool that way. So if they didn't want to go home, I said they'd spend the night because everybody had a key. So there was a week where I was closing up every night, 3 in the morning. So I send everybody home. I make sure, first of all, everything is locked down. I check the bathrooms because sometimes people, hey, you know what? 13 years doing this business, I found people passed out in a stall, right? So,
Wow.
you got to, well, yeah, you got to make sure that's covered. And I make sure all the countertops are clean, the bar tops are clean, all the
Mhm.
tables and chairs are clean. And I lock up. So after I lock up, I dim the lights and I go to the basement. Now, this place is kind of creepy, and I kept a lot of extra beer and liquor boxes down there. It was kind of like another place for my inventory. So I'm sitting in the area in my office, and and I hear and I hear some like noises upstairs. And at first I just kind of blew it off like I was hearing things because again it was an older structure, and they're always at nighttime. There was always creaks, and you could always hear like
Mm-hmm.
things. And after a period of 13 years, you guys, it just becomes a part of your everyday deal. You don't pay no attention. But for one night, it was kind of really louder and a little more irritating. So I just got up, you guys, and I went up the stairs and I looked around, and there's nothing. There's nothing. And I even yelled out, "Hey, is anybody here from work? Anybody from work still here?" No, no, no. I don't hear nothing. So I go, boom, downstairs. So now I hear this sound again. So I go upstairs. So when I get to the top, I go up my stairs, I get right to the top. And when you get to the top, there's the square bar, and you can look down the bar, and probably 90 feet from where I'm standing is the far corner of the bar. And I'm looking, and I see it appears to be four apparitions, but I can't really make them out. But as I'm standing there, they seem to like fill in a little bit and get a little bit of color to them, but they're still transparent. So now I'm not scared for whatever reason. I'm intrigued. And as you guys know, this is well after my Bigfoot encounter and everything like that. I was like used to weird stuff. This is during the sleep paralysis, so I'm kind of used to weird stuff. So I walk maybe 15 feet closer. I'm like 60 feet away. And yes, there's four ghosts sitting at the corner of the bar. Again,
Wow.
four. There was two women. Yeah, there's two women.
Wow.
Like if you got the L.
Right.
So on one part of the L, there's two ladies, and the other side is two gentlemen, two men. And now the color starts to fill in a little more, yet they are transparent. And I'm just standing there, you guys. And I'm like,
Wow.
yeah, Bob. I'm like, and now the two women, they look like flappers are those women with the long frilly dresses, and they got
1920s.
Yes, see, okay. So and they've got that on, and the two guys, and I always tell people it reminded me of like John Dillinger. They were dressed in those suits with the fedora cap, not like the Men in Black, just like a suit that the guys wore, like a gangster suit. And so I'm looking, and then so I'm looking at this, but what really baked my noodle, and I know for a fact I cleaned off the top of the bar. There's a fifth of Jack Daniels on the corner of the bar in front of the two guys. There's a bottle of wine by the two women. Physical, not apparition, physical from my inventory. And there's two shot glasses and two wine glasses. Now, it was interesting because I'm getting a little bit closer now, and I go, "Hey," I'm yelling at these four apparitions. I'm like, "Hey," and you know what? They start and they're kibitzing. I can hear like breathy talk. Wow. Can't make out what they're saying, but I can hear this, and I'm like, "Hey," again, and for the third time, I'm getting like irritated because I don't know why. I'm getting mad because they're not like looking at me or acknowledging me. So I take my fist, and I'm at the one corner of the bar and at the other corner, and I slam my fist down. I said, "Hey," really loud, like mad. All of a sudden, all of a sudden the breathy talk stops, and the four of them look at me. Now I'm like, man, I shouldn't have done this.
Ooh, wow.
I'm like, oh my God, I should not have done this. And then they turn away. And so I kind of edged a little, and now I'm really like, okay, they seem cool, I kind of like them, you know. Uh, I edged a little closer, and they both look at me. And then here's what really was really strange. I'd mentioned that there was a whiskey bottle, Jack Daniels, and a wine bottle. Both are open, and the four glasses. Well, the two wine glasses, they appeared from the distance. There's a little bit of wine in the glasses, but one of the whiskey shot glasses was full, and the one, the closest to me off the corner, looks at me, and he puts out this hand. His arm extends. Now, mind you, I can see through all four of these things, and I can see through them to the other side of the wall.
Mm.
Now, the shot glass, all of a sudden, you guys, the animate, not the inanimate object, the animate physical object starts to raise about 12, 13 inches off the bar. It's suspended in animation or suspended there. And I'm looking, and it looks at me, and then the shot glass slips from the ghostly hand, the transparent hand. And what really was weird, you guys know what a shot glass is. You know they're thick. You got to do a lot to break a shot glass. And this shot glass was suspended 12, 13, 14 inches up, filled with booze. It hits the top of my bar top, which was made of like wood, because I had piney wood and oak throughout the bar. So softer wood, which I made a mistake getting that put in because it got all messed up, but that's another story. But my point is soft wood. It hits it, and the shot glass shatters. It breaks. No way it should have broken. No way whatsoever. The booze disperses across the top of the bar. And I'm looking, and the ghost looks at me. Then his partner and the women, they all look at me. And they start to morph, and they go from these younger, because these people, I didn't make mention of this, they look like they're in their like 30s, 40s, maybe at the most. And all of a sudden, they started to fade away. But as they faded away, their bodies got older, almost to a skeleton shape. And then it was like the mist, like I explained to you guys about in my down here at church, of that type of mist, and dispersed about the bar. It was gone.
Wow.
I go up to the corner of the bar. Sure enough, Jack Daniels bottle was open. Sure enough, that was a broken shot glass. Sure enough, that was booze on the top of the bar. Sure enough, the two wine glasses had wine left in them. Both were open. And I know for a fact that Jack Daniels booze bottle was brand new, because I restocked it every night, and the top was cracked, and that was exactly 1 ounce poured out of it.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Is something.
When you first started telling the story, I'm thinking it's a residual, because they weren't interacting with you, they weren't paying you no mind.
No.
I thought it was
Not
residual.
Which would mean what? They knew me?
No, residual would mean like it's repeats the same something.
Yeah,
Same
it's
thing
just
over
like
and over again. All the time.
It's their same night back in the 1920s. They were having a good time, but it's just like a little blip in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just seeing a little snapshot of what was happening at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought you were going to tell us, and then it just morphed into something else.
Yeah.
It's like,
And so I got out of there. I went home.
Oh,
I
don't blame you.
So, but again, I wasn't really scared or anything like that. So I go back to work, and now you guys got to remember, I've known my good workers that have been with me were there for pretty much as long as I had been there. And I just pulled a girl aside, one of my head cook aside. I said, "Hey, you guys, because you guys are here late at night more than I am. Although I am there quite often. Like I said, 70% of the time I'm there, but they're like 100%. Anything ever weird happen to you guys? at night or anything like that.
Right.
And they both look at each other. They says, "Well, Rob, we know you're a cool guy, but we just want to tell you that weird stuff happens all the time at night." And I'm like what? She goes, "Well, back in the kitchen, and you guys have heard this story. There's always glasses that are broken for no reason. We
Mhm.
figured maybe they just fell off a shelf because it wasn't stacked properly and it was unbalanced. It fell or whatever, and they blew it up. But they say, Rob, it happens like all the time. And then sometimes at night they would hear like walking around the corner. It's around the square bar. They would hear footsteps around, and they would come up again from the office. And when they'd come up, they would still hear the footsteps, but they would just stop. And I said, okay, well, yeah, whatever. That's cool. But I said, what I'm getting at, you guys, you ever see anything? they're like, what do you mean? I said, like a ghost. I just came out and told them I saw a ghost last night. 4 of them. They opened drink bottles. What? I'm like, yeah. She says, no, we've never seen that. But they did say though but we will tell you this, Rob, at night, because everybody, I had a great work crew every night. There was never empty bottles or glasses on any of the tables. They were awesome employees that worked there. And they would say after they would wipe down the tables in the bar and all the bottles were put away, they would go down into the office and do the paperwork. And they says, maybe once or twice every other month or so, we'll come up. And then they said, hey, I told them the whole story. So what corner of the bar was it? I said, well, up the stairs, boom, straight ahead, that far corner. Then they did say, maybe this makes sense to you guys now, this residual thing. He goes, that same section of the bar will come up, and sometimes there'll be empty Bud Light and Miller Light bottles sitting there.
Ooh.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, anywhere else? And they had made mention that one time it was on an obscure table off in the corner. There would be a bottle of beer there, but they're thinking that maybe they missed it because it was in the corner and it's easy to miss. But they had said that same corner though, so you guys might be onto something with that, because that's the place where they would find sometimes empty, beer bottles, and they're empty too. They're empty. There's no beer cap because obviously, when we serve beer, we take the cap off.
Sure.
But they'd be drained empty. I'm like, really? And you never you forgot? And I know they didn't, to be honest. You'd have to be blind, to miss it.
Yeah.
No, we've seen it. And I'm like, man, so what you guys say, maybe it was those, same spirits.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, yeah. The thing is, like residual, it repeats time constantly, and they don't acknowledge people usually. I think what you had, that was an intelligent. You were,
yeah, because that's what I thought you were starting to tell me there is that about a residual haunting, and then I'm like, no.
Guys, like I said, I mean this when I say this. I was mad because they would not look at me. Then I hit my fist and yelled, and then they kind of looked at me. And then I was thinking maybe I did something wrong here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't enough. You had 4 ghosts in front of you. You just had to have them talk to you.
I was there and I knew I couldn't escape because the door was the back of them. You might as well make the best of it,
You're like, well, we're here. Let's do it.
I'm going down. Let's get it on.
That probably would have sent me into research, right? Research mode right there. I would have been trying to figure out who those 4 people were.
Yeah.
Most likely if there are 4 people hanging out, same, like the same clothes era type of thing, I'd have been looking car accident or, something. I'd had to go back and find it.
I did not. I just know I did know. I kind of knew prior anyways about the 1920s. I knew about bootlegging. I knew that it was a hangout for 1920s people, whether they were Dillinger type or gangsters or flappers. I don't know that.
Well, you never know. I mean, you could be dealing with homicide, not just something like a car accident. You could be dealing with something much more sinister.
Right.
Yeah. Well, well, thank you for that, but but I don't know why I didn't research it further, especially after all the things I experienced anyways. I just went as life goes on, hey, listen, you guys, when you're working every day like that, 15 hours, you pretty much go to bed when you get home. You know?
Right.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know.
So
But here I am.
Yep.
yes, looking all sparkly and ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're
Well,
almost at the 2 hour mark, guys.
yep.
I
I think it's time.
Yep, I
Yeah.
do too. I want to once again thank you guys and Tex and all of you guys for bringing us on. And
Oh, hey, our
Yeah.
pleasure.
we definitely appreciate it. And let everybody know Monday nights you can watch Texas Front Porch. All these times I'm going to say is Central Time, and that'll be at 6:30 Central. Tuesdays is Beyond BMR at 8 p.m. And then on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. is Van Buren Variety. On Wednesday, you have Siru Papers at 8 p.m. An hour later is Jason McLean Questions Everything at 9 p.m. Thursdays, you have Blondes. And on
Yeah.
Fridays, you have Blondes, Booze, and the Woo.
Woo woo.
Woo woo.
And of course, there's brunch with Bigfoot at Thursday in the afternoon.
Yes, Thursday.
With my
Yes.
well, one of my awesome co-hosts, Miss Tweety. You did a
Yep.
great job today.
It was fun. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
And also, we simulcast on Bigfoot Mr. Rob channel as well, and Bobby's is on Texas, and we're all kind of together a partnership, which is awesome. And I am glad you guys came on board, because I will say this. I don't know if I should say this publicly. I told Tex, get the booze. Let's get the booze.
Mhm.
And we're glad you did. for
Yeah,
sure.
we're glad.
I
We're
am
glad.
too. That's
We
great.
have such a good time.
Good.
Yeah, we
And
do.
I've been meaning to say, Brandy, I love what you got going on in back of you. That little bit, I like that. I'm so
That's
good.
pretty good.
I can probably pick out every bottle. I can't even read them.
I've got bottles of liquor up there from
Yes.
haunted places.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, I gotta check that
I have
out.
a lot going on up there. But
Next time
actually, let me just explain what all of that is. It all started. My dad would buy me wine bottles, very unique, either labels or bottle shape or something like that. Well, he passed away in 2013. My mom has continued this, and I've kind of done a little bottle buying myself. But all the bottles you see back there, I do not touch. I do not open. That's just where they sit.
No, that's good. I'm the same. Well, not quite to your mine were all bought, and I just don't open them because they look cool, lined up over there. No story behind them.
I figure one day, one of these days, I'll sit down and I'll drink something. It'll probably be all gross by then.
Well, I know it's late, you guys. I did have one question because I was through St. Louis. I don't know how far are you guys from St. Louis?
30 minutes myself.
That's a haunted part of town, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of haunted
Okay.
places in St. Louis.
Because I got stories about St. Louis. I was there for a while, but we'll do that for another time. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
There
for
we go.
sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very
I want to
good.
remind everybody to go check out Barton Nunley's Inhumanoids Facebook page and his YouTube page. And they have some cool merch. So as Christmas is coming up. So they have drawings, keychains, t-shirts.
Yeah, check him out.
Yeah, Barton Nunley, awesome dude. He was on my Beyond BMR a couple weeks ago. Great show in Humanoids. If you guys haven't, go to the archives. It's free.
Yep.
It's
Absolutely.
free. Go check it out.
Yep. And we're going to have Barton on, and I believe February is when.
Cool.
He's
Awesome.
gonna come on
Awesome.
with us. So
And don't forget, tomorrow night we have live readings again with Michael Christopher. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central.
and then
so-
next Thursday we have BMR is back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daryl Denton is going to co-host with us, and then
You
on-
should have made that a surprise. I might have scared him off already. I don't know.
and then next Friday we have on the vampires. So it'll be cool.
Yes.
Got some cool stuff coming up for sure.
I-
We appreciate everybody.
Well, thanks for having me on. I had a lot of
Thank you
fun.
very much, y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for filling in at the last minute. Definitely.
Yes. Thank you. We appreciate it. I had a great time.
Me too. Thank you very much.
For
Thank
sure.
you. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
I'm gonna go put a little buble on.
You know,